If Ellie doesn't testify on my behalf, I'll be sent to prison as a murderer. Do you think the company is more important than your son? Gouda told her that she should not provoke Ellie at the moment. As long as Ellie helped him testify first, Eula would naturally find a way to deal with him. The most important thing at the moment was to bring Ellie home. Gouda's mother ran to Ellie's house and knelt in front of her daughter-in-law, who she had bullied in the past. She desperately said that she and her son were usually the ones who were sorry. She implored Ellie to help her son get through this difficult time. She hoped that Ellie would help Gouda for the sake of their marriage. If Ellie moves back home and testifies for her son, she will always take Ellie's side in the future, no matter what. The kind Ellie's mother said that her mother-in-law's attitude was very sincere, and asked Ellie to be generous and go back with her. The police came to the door again and asked for a witness. Ellie, just as the family was stammering, Ellie finally walked into the house. The police asked her where she was with whom that night. Ellie said, as Gouda had instructed, that she had gone to the law firm with her husband. Facing the police's relentless questioning, Gouda had no choice but to help answer, saying that the two had been arguing and were afraid of worrying their family if they went home, so they went to the law firm instead. The police said they needed to go to the law firm to retrieve the surveillance footage from that night. Gouda, who was feeling guilty, said of course there was no problem with that. After giving her testimony, Ellie said she wanted to go back to her own home, but only her uncle's daughter tried to stop her. As soon as Ellie walked out of the house, her mother-in-law told her son to call Eula. Gouda was at his wit's end with his mother. Ellie just helped me testify and walked out the door, and you're asking me to do this? But my mother said that Ellie is no longer needed. From now on, Eula will have to help the company turn things around. She asked her son if he was going to stand by and do nothing. Gouda didn't want to get involved. In desperation, the mother had to personally go out and find Eula at the company, hoping that she would contribute to her company. But Eula said, I won't do anything until I confirm the relationship with your son, and she had to leave with milk tea in a huff. Gouda called Ellie and asked her to come to the office and find him. Ellie said, didn't you tell me not to go to your company? Gouda guiltily asked her not to ask too much and just call him when you get to the door. He walked to the door and waited for Ellie to walk in together. Gouda deliberately slowed down his pace. This time, the surveillance camera should have captured these. He took her into the office and deliberately picked a fight with Ellie. Gouda's goal was to make Ellie unhappy so that the surveillance camera could capture the two of them arguing. When Ellie returned home, she kept wiping away her tears. Her mother knew that she was torn between going back to her husband's family. Ellie said that she wanted to give herself and Gouda another chance. Her mother also expressed her deep understanding. Her mother-in-law got up early, squinted her eyes, and walked to the kitchen to drink some water. She was almost scared to death by the sight in front of her. Ellie was actually doing housework in the kitchen. This came as a shock to the whole family. Her mother-in-law angrily scolded her for running back here like this. Ellie said she wanted to make breakfast before you all got up, so she came back before dawn. Her mother-in-law and Lucy were very troubled by this. If Eula finds out that Gouda is married, it's over. She hurriedly asked her son what to do now. Her mother told Gouda that he couldn't afford to make mistakes at this critical moment. Gouda tells his mother that he will start working for Eula's company today. Eula will also invest in our company. His mother is overwhelmed with joy at hearing this good news. Gouda tells her to stay calm. Ellie, his mother tells him not to worry about anything. I have to say that this mother and son are really calculating. Eula's mother is shocked to see a man in her daughter's room. Angry, she tells her daughter to go to work immediately. She needs to talk to the man alone. When she saw her daughter leave, Eula's mother immediately changed her expression. She told Gouda to assist her daughter in the future. The whole company will be ours. Eula's mother told him to prepare credit reports and other materials. She wanted to find out the background of the person her daughter was about to marry. Gouda was stunned when he heard this. However, he was not worried about the other party finding out about his marriage. After learning that her son had not returned home all night, the mother-in-law also told Ellie to get some tonic. She said that her son must have stayed up late at the office. Uncle asked Ellie to also go to the obstetrics and gynecology department to see why they hadn't had a child after so many years of marriage. Seeing this, her mother-in-law hurriedly said that things like pregnancy depended on fate. Lucy also immediately agreed with her mother. They were all afraid that Ellie was pregnant with their child. Eula nervously asked Gouda what his mother had asked him. When he heard Gouda say that his mother had asked him to bring proof of their relationship, Eula knew that his mother had agreed to their marriage. She quickly called the company's finance department and immediately invested in Gouda's mother's company. Eula, the company's largest shareholder, had no choice but to do as she was told. Gouda's mother's company was being sued by its creditors. At this time, she received a call for help from Eula. Upon hearing the good news, Gouda's mother said she would never forget Eula's kindness. She hurried home and told Ellie to go to the market and buy some high-end seafood to put in the lunchbox. Ellie didn't ask too many questions. When she heard Gouda ring the doorbell, her mother-in-law happily got up to greet her. This time, It was all thanks to her good son. Her son must have been tired after staying out all night. She told Ellie to quickly take the tonic up to her and serve it. Her sister said her brother was really good at pretending. He was obviously with Eula last night and pretended to be working overtime. Her mother told her not to meddle in other people's business and to mind her own words. Ellie asked her husband why he didn't come home last night. Gouda said there was an urgent business at the company. Ellie asked him if he had dealt with the woman outside. Gouda asked her without blinking, "Did you suspect that I was with that woman last night?" Ellie said, "I know you, husband. You definitely won't lie." After that, she brought her husband a tonic to drink after a busy night. When Ellie received a text message about starting work, Gouda angrily asked if she had to go out to work. Ellie said she didn't want to stay at home all the time. She hoped her husband could understand her. When she heard that her daughter-in-law was going to work outside the home, the mother-in-law angrily asked who would do the housework. She told Ellie not to neglect the housework even if she went out to work. Early in the morning, Ellie cooked a table of food and left a note saying that she was going to work and that she had prepared the high-end lunchbox you wanted. Ellie happily went to work in the store, but a woman who deliberately looked for trouble came and said that there was a problem with the shoes and wanted a full refund. Ellie saw that the shoes had been vandalized. She patiently recommended comfortable flat shoes to her, but the woman got even more angry when she heard, "Are you saying that I'm too fat to wear high heels?" Ellie could only keep apologizing. The unrelenting woman directly slapped her. Ellie could only keep apologizing. Just as the woman was about to do it again, a man grabbed her hand. Juanha told her that no matter what the reason, she should not hit the store's employees. Just as he turned to ask the employee what happened, in front of him was none other than the first love he had always loved. That day, Gouda got drunk and was taken home directly by Eula. This man she has coveted for a long time. Of course, she will not let go of this God-given opportunity. The two fought for hundreds of rounds. Gouda, who woke up, was almost scared to death. Eula told him that he had a lot of fun last night, but Gouda seemed a bit distracted. Eula thought he was shy for the first time sleeping with a woman. Ellie at home waited for her husband all night, until the morning. The phone was still unanswered. Poor her. She didn't sleep all night and made breakfast for her family, hurried to work and was slapped by an unreasonable customer. After work, she was still picked on by her mother-in-law, saying she didn't serve well. How can the breakfast be delicious if it's just left there? Ellie could only ask her mother-in-law to heat it up. Her mother-in-law angrily scolded her. Don't let work delay the pile of housework at home. Helpless, she was still working late at night. Ellie hopes to leave for work on time tomorrow. Everyone in the family is asleep, but she is still doing the housework. Before she could lie down to sleep, she started making breakfast. Her mother-in-law also asked her to prepare a fancy lunchbox. She didn't know that this was for her husband's girlfriend. Ellie was so tired that she could fall asleep standing up. She even got a nosebleed. Eula wanted to find out from Ellie about the incident at the brand store because she had a conflict with a customer. It was filmed and appeared in the newspaper. Eula was furious with her brother. She hoped that he would stop interfering in her territory. Just as Eula was about to go out to meet Ellie, there was a crowd of branch employees gathering in front of the company. Everyone was dissatisfied with Eula's ruthless tactics, which had caused everyone to lose their jobs. At this time, Gouda, who is the company's lawyer, ran out. Everyone became more and more agitated and even threw eggs at Eula. Gouda used his body to block Eula. At this time, Ellie also happened to arrive at the company. As soon as she walked in, she was seen by Juanha. He took Ellie and walked out. He told Ellie not to worry about what happened in the store yesterday. Was Eula trying to see me? Who exactly is she protecting? Ellie said he didn't need to worry about her, and that she still felt she had to keep her appointment. But when she called, Eula wasn't there, and that's when Ellie saw her husband with a woman. She couldn't believe her eyes, and as she watched her husband go, Ellie asked Junu who the man was. Junu said it was the company's legal advisor, and that's when Ellie realized her husband had already changed companies. When Eula returned to the office, she remembered she had an appointment with Ellie. She calls Ellie to come back to the office. Gouda wishes he could be with Eula. After all, it involves the company's image. As a legal advisor, he has the responsibility to find out. Eula expresses her gratitude, saying that she feels secure with him around. In the evening, her mother-in-law asks Ellie to kneel down and cut her fingernails. Her husband's younger sister is sipping juice leisurely, while her mother-in-law is chewing on a spicy snack and chatting with her daughter. After all this, Ellie prepares the meal in the kitchen. Her mother-in-law's brother also directs her to find stationery for her daughter. Her husband calls her downstairs as soon as he comes down to ask her to get his jacket for him. He tells her to make sure it is ironed before she brings it to him. Ellie is just about to go upstairs when her mother-in-law shouts at her again to prepare her lunchbox. Lucy asks her mother in a depressed voice who she prepares lunchboxes for every day. Her mother-in-law carefully says it is for Eula. Her family can hardly believe it. Her brother warns her to be careful or she will be punished by heaven. He asks his daughter-in-law to prepare lunchboxes for her son's girlfriend. Gouda didn't say a word. Ellie, who knew nothing about it, continued to do her best. Her mother braved the heavy snow to deliver her lunch. She heard that her daughter wanted to help her mother prepare the food that her mother was worried about, so she helped her prepare it and delivered it. Her mother said that her son-in-law had also changed his mind now. and her family had accepted her. She told her daughter to live her life with all her heart and serve her family well. Ellie couldn't help but cry as she watched her mother's back as she walked away. She hugged the lunch her mother had delivered and went in. Her mother-in-law was angry when she heard what she had told her mother. She told her not to tell her family everything. Ellie could only apologize. Her mother-in-law